the values that satisfy a given inequality. So I have an example that is going to help us to do just that. So let's look at this example. So in this example, we want to list the integer values satisfying the following inequalities. So we have these inequalities A, B, and C. Alright, so let's look at, let's start with part A. Remember, what is required for us is to find the list of, to list the integer values that satisfy the inequalities. Now, you need to know what an integer is. We talked about that in course 1 when we're talking about numbers. An integer is simply a whole number, either positive or negative. So we just want to determine or to write down the integer values on part A for the range 0 to 6. For 0 to 6. Alright, so it's a very simple thing here. If you want to maybe first do a sketch so that you can really see what your inequality covers, it's also helpful. So this is my graph here for 0 to 6, 6 inclusive, because we have an equal on or equal sign here on 6, so we have to shade 6 here, but 0 is not included, that's why it's not even shaded right here. Alright, so values of x, integer values of x satisfying this inequality start from the integer that is just after 0. Since 0 is not being included, the integer that is just after 0, which is 1, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also 6. 6 is included because as you look at our inequality, at our graph even, you see that we have shaded on 6, which tells us that 6 is one of the integers that is being supported by this range. So the set of values here will come out as starting from 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That is the set of integer values satisfying the inequality. Okay, perhaps you may want to attempt part B. So I'll give you just a minute to list the integer values for part B. So I want you to pause the video and start doing just that. Alright, so what I would prefer to do first is just to make a sketch of the graph, the number line here, and it's from -3 to 2. So that's -3 to 2, and here, as you can see, it's -3 inclusive. Alright, so we're going to shade on -3 and put an unshaded circle on 2. So that's what we have here, and this tells us that our integer values are starting from -3. -3 is an integer value that is included within the inequality, but 2 is not being included, as you can see here, and even the circle is not shaded to show that 2 is not part of our set of values. So the integer values will start from -3. So it's from -3 going on up to the integer that is just below 2, which is 1. So the last integer will be 1. So the values will come out as -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. So these are the integer values that you find within our inequality, or the range of values. Lastly, we can go on to part C. On part C, we have got the inequality -6.5 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than or equal to -2.25. We want the integer values that are within this range. Okay, so let's just make a sketch of the graph. So here's the graph right here, starting from the lower value, which is negative 6.5 up to negative 2.25. So I'm just going to draw the graph starting from negative 7. We want to show where our values are. Okay, so this is negative 6.5, which is between negative 6 and negative 7, and this is negative 2.25, as you can see here. So the graph will come out like this. So you can see the positions of negative 6.5 and negative 2.25. They are really, you see, negative 6.5 is between negative 6 and negative 7, and negative 2.25 is just after negative 2 as we go on to negative 3. So from this graph, it's easily you can easily see that the set of integer values satisfying this inequality are these values that you're seeing right here. These are integer values within the range. So these are the values that we are talking about, starting from negative 6. So we've got negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, and negative 3. These are the only integer values that we are finding from the range supported by the inequality, negative 6.5 to negative 2.25.